You can't take a road trip through the American Southwest and not stop at the Grand Canyon, so we spent the afternoon there watching the sunset. Next stop was in Moab, where we would meet with the co-founder of the Hayduke Trail, Mike Coronella. I got a chance to meet and interview him when I hiked the Hayduke in 2018, and I quickly realized that he understands the importance and the benefits of extreme immersion in the wilderness.
I was raised in New Jersey, took business classes with the idea that I'd do kind of what was expected of me, which was to go to Wall Street, and I really didn't want to do that. So I like to say now, in retrospect, I realized even back then that it was better to be happy than rich, which I have found to be the truth. And I decided to come out to Utah to go skiing. Ended up getting married and getting divorced, because I really was a ski bum. Somebody was surprised to find that was not just a story. And I decided I needed to go for a long walk, and Mitch and I came up, and mostly Mitch came up with the idea, like, let's walk from Arches to Zion. Because I kept saying, you know, they talk about 40 days in the desert. I need 80. And so we walked from Arches to Zion, found out we were the first people to do that. And people started talking about a trail, which we had no intention or thoughts of ever doing until after that. And originally it wasn't going to be the Hayduke Trail. It was the Colorado Plateau Trail. And we talked to the state of Utah about endorsing the route to be part of the National Long Distance Scenic Trail Network. And all they cared about was, is it motorized? And we're like, no. It goes through the backcountry of 6 national parks. It is so difficult, you couldn't take a horse on this thing. And they didn't care. They're like, well, okay, good luck. Edward Abbey was somebody that I was completely unaware of him until I came out to Utah. And I think it was the second winter that I was out here. I worked at a car rental place and at the Salt Lake Airport, and somebody returned a car with an Ed Abbey book in it called Desert Solitaire. And I like to read, so I picked it up, and I knew nobody was going to be trying to find it. And so I brought it home and I read it, and I'm like, wow. And he is somebody I could identify with. He's from the East Coast, came out to the desert and was just blown away by what he saw. Then he wrote The Monkey Wrench Gang, and The Monkey Wrench Gang was a fiction about a group of people who met each other in the Grand Canyon, and they all decided they were equally disgusted with the development of their beloved desert, and they were going to do something about it. And that to them meant, their highest goal was to blow up the Glen Canyon Dam, Lake Powell. And that was inspired by the main park road in Arches National Park. Ed was there when they were building that road, and he thought it was heresy, apostasy, that they would do something like that. Why are they building something to accommodate 40-foot RVs instead of coming into our national parks, our gems, which is boots and bikes and horses? And so we kind of spiraled out from there. And the lead character in the book, his name is George Washington Hayduke. And when the state of Utah kind of was uninterested in endorsing the route because it's not motorized, that's when it became the Hayduke Trail. And it really was about, maybe we get people out there when they're out here and they cross in, because it's all wilderness basically, and if you see something out here, do something. And it does, in a lot of ways, it's to acknowledge the passion that people have for places like this, because they are unique. Yeah, I know there's been Triple Crowners who've had their butts kicked out here, who don't finish. Yeah, it's just, it's, as you found out, there's a lot of challenges out there. And it's not just physical challenges. I think the mental aspect of the Hayduke Trail takes a lot of people down. I know when first time we went in the Grand Canyon, we were told that if we had issues, nobody was coming for us. Now, we didn't have a spot messenger. I carry one now, but didn't have that back then. Like, we didn't have cell phones when we started. They weren't a thing yet. We didn't have a GPS. Our plan, if we needed help, was literally, we had orienteering compasses, have mirrors on them. It was a signal mirror to an aircraft. That was all we had. But we understood if things go wrong, you might not survive. And that's okay. Sometimes that's good for the soul, to not have that surety all the time. It makes you careful. It makes you thankful for everything you got. We had a time in the Grand Canyon where we literally discussed the idea we might not see the sunset tonight. And that is the most liberating feeling I've ever had, because it was beyond fear. It was just like, all right, well, let's see what happens. We had already written off our lives. So every step is a bonus. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, we're at Phantom Ranch going, holy cow, we just did that. That was amazing. It's like, I would never do it again. And it's not part of the Hayduke Trail. I think a couple people have talked to me about that original route, but it's hardcore. Our intention that day was to make it to the river, but we could only get to the saddle in a day. We came up way short, so I think we left the saddle in the morning with a half a liter of water each, 4,000 vertical to go on this route that might go, and it's crazy steep. I know I took a big tumble at one point, and with a heavy pack, momentum keeps you going, and especially when it's steep. And I literally kind of caught my arm between like two branches of a tree, and that's what stopped me from tumbling off the edge of a 200-foot cliff. And there's a picture of me. I can't find it anymore. You can't barely tell what I look like. I'm so blood covered. Like, we literally had a discussion, like, are we getting enough iron in our diet to replace all the blood we're losing out here? It was hot, it was steep, it was big, it was dry, and it was kicking our butts. And we knew if we didn't get to the river that we weren't going to be around much longer, because we had to get water, and there just was no known water sources in that drainage that we were in. And so it's like, all right, and there we go, and had one of the most bizarre experiences of our lives, or my life anyway. And we get down to the river, it's just after dark, and I let out this big hoot, woohoo, we're here, we're gonna live, we got water. And two guys walk up to us, and they're like, where the hell did you come from? And we're looking around like, where did you come from? And I'm like half delirious. We were so tired, just got worked so hard that day. And so Mitch and I are there talking to these guys, and the one guy goes, oh, by the way, I should introduce ourselves. My name is Mike, and this is my buddy Mitch. And I looked at Mitch, literally, I'm half delirious anyway, and I literally said, looking at these guys, they were like as close as you guys are to me, and I looked at Mitch and I said, what the fuck did he just say? And I walked away. I thought I was hallucinating. and we ended up talking to them a bunch the next day, and they were these epic Grand Canyon hikers. They knew the canyon, and they also were able to tell us the route that we planned on taking. We wouldn't have made it through. Our ropes were too short. We would have got ledged out, and that's bad. Like some people would say it's kind of woo-woo, but there's an energy out here, and you tap into it once you become kind of intimately acquainted with the earth and the land, and only a way that you can do by spending large periods of time. Sometimes it's good, and I was in a canyon many years ago. I left because I was going to be in there for a week, just exploring, backpacking with a dog, after the first night, I left. It was like something, it just didn't feel right. Something was like horribly wrong. And even my otherwise silent dog, he growled all night. I'd never heard him do that, and this was an extremely well-trained dog. Like, we need to be gone. Something just wasn't right about it. And I'm a strong believer in intuition and following your gut. If you think things are wrong, man, listen to that. There's a reason for that. But yeah, there's that stuff out there. I mean, there's so much that happens that we can't explain in our normal, 9-to-5 way of looking at things. And so our society has lost touch with that. And I think that's a great thing for you to be pursuing.